Back on the circuit.
Hello, you're listening to the Artist Industry podcast from Kartel Music Group, where we explore how the music business actually works for artists, not the industry machine. Today, we're at Spiritland with two legends from the UK dance culture whose sounds have lit up clubs, festivals and airwaves for over 3 decades. Barry Ashworth of the Dub Pistols and Aston Harvey of the Freestylers. Between them, Barry and Aston helped define the mid-90s big beat moment and carried that energy forward, folding in dub, ska, hip-hop, breakbeat and jungle. Along the way, there have been chart moments, cult classics, game soundtracks and a fiercely loyal community, right the way through to the Dub Pistols' very own Mucky Weekender Festival. They've now joined forces for a new collaboration and an album, Enter the Sound, a record born from years of crossing paths in studios, clubs and on tour. Today, we'll rewind to where it all started. The first time they met, the chaos and creativity of the big beat era, getting signed by major labels and touring North America. And the moment it finally made sense to make a full album together. We'll get into how they actually work in the studio and guests and features on the forthcoming record. All right, well, welcome, guys. Great to be in Spiritland to chat to you about your music. And
it's always fantastic to be in King's Cross and having a beer in the afternoon.
Indeed.
What a fantastic... You don't drink anymore,
I don't drink... Well, I haven't got a beer with me now anyway, but yeah.
But you don't drink anymore, right?
Well, it's not that I drink anymore. I don't really drink anyway.
I do.
I know you do.
You're drinking for all of us currently.
Yeah, we've witnessed it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, guys, we wanted to chat to you about your music and about your careers in music, and then, of course, about the record that you have coming up.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kick off and kind of go right back to the early days and start with how you met. Not necessarily where you met, but how. What was the musical link that kind of brought you together?
I guess, we were just talking about it off camera before we started recording, and I thought it was in America. I thought it was when we both signed to America. But Aston, again, my memory isn't fantastic around those times because they were quite hedonistic days, I guess, the early... Now we can say the word big beat days. They were pretty raucous, so my memory's a little bit foggy, but you remember the first time we met.
Yeah, I think we did a tour in Germany, and there was me, Freestylers, so it had been me and Matt, you, Derek DeLarge and John Carter, and we did about 4 or 5 dates around Germany. I can't remember much because it's a long time ago, but yeah.
Well, all I know is when you mention those two names, John Carter, Monkey Mafia, and Derek DeLarge, tells me it would have been messy.
It was very messy.
Because I just remember, there was Derek DeLarge, for anybody who doesn't know this, was a real character. So was John Carter back in the day. But Derek DeLarge, I remember being at Manumission and he had a dildo superglued to his head. Do you remember?
I heard the story. I didn't go, I wasn't there to witness it, but I heard the story.
It became legendary, and I think he went missing. And then it was all over Radio 1 and they were searching for him. I think John Carter actually superglued the dildo to his head.
That was to do with Manumission or something.
Yeah, it was with Manumission. It went out all over Radio 1.
For those who didn't live through 90s club culture, right, for people who are listening who didn't experience that firsthand, we maybe need to draw the picture in a bit more detail. So 90s...
I think dildo on your head, superglue.
That's quite a vivid picture, right?
That tells you things weren't quite PC correct.
No.
And were probably a little bit more off.
But the big beat era, so second half of the 90s probably, right, became quite a chapter in UK dance music, and also totally. Quite a blend of
I was going to say, basically the early 90s was like the whole birth of dance music culture in England, and we had, throughout the 90s, we had so many different births of new kind of dance music. So there was obviously acid house, rave, hardcore, jungle, garage, big beat, breaks.
Yeah. I started in 87 And the reason I got into big beat, and I'd run clubs from 1987 onwards, and had house music, had house records that we'd released and everything, and I got really bored of what was happening then, which was the generic house sound, which was just like, it became cheesy, you know, from being like this total underground sound, it just became really like, and I got really fed up with it. And then I remember the first time I heard, I think it was My Mercury Mouth or Song to the Siren from the Chemical Brothers, and I was just like, wow, that's just changed
a little
everything
different
for me. And that's when I wanted to start making breakbeat. I don't know what your...
Yeah, I think there's what Barry just said. It was a consensus of a lot of people that started making big beat, whatever, non-house music, and not like drum and bass at the time. It was like, they were bored of like, because we all liked house music and we were making it, but we just were a bit bored of it and wanted to do something different. And maybe stand out from the crowd. So, you know, it kind of went back to our roots of what got us into music.
It just sounded so fresh at the time, eh? And
Well,
it was everything
yeah.
that we were into was like, whether it was hip-hop, whatever, it was like that fusion of electronic music, beats,
Yeah.
and then into this new sound that was like fresh. And I guess out of that, so I guess at the time it went, because it went from trip-hop, Amel House to big beat almost,
Something like that, yeah.
You know, and
You've kind of got drum and bass and jungle sitting underneath there.
and hardcore.
You know,
and,
with the break beat, the break
That's
kind of
it,
sitting there.
That's
But
it.
big
Well, there was
beat
that
does it.
stage. There was a stage between Rave and jungle.
Yeah.
It became hardcore.
Yeah.
which I never really
Yeah,
liked.
yeah.
You know, and I know that a lot of it used breakbeat sound.
Yeah, that's
but
right, yeah,
at that
yeah,
time
yeah,
I wasn't
Yeah.
really into that. But I guess that was kind of sped up really sort of, now I really like it even more than I did, but at the time I didn't feel that. But like, you know, the kept breakbeat somewhere sitting between 110 and 120 BPM at that time was where I was at, with some funky, you know, was funky hip hop and God knows what everything fused in. I mean, you came along fresh as with the full band, you know, with the break dancers and everything, eh?
Yeah, that was the full show, but like,
No,
so-
but that's what the
Yeah,
freestylers,
okay, yeah.
the freestylers blew up.
Well, I mean, what you were saying there, essentially, the big beat scene, you could play anything from like 98 BPM,
you start.
to 175 BPM. You know, you listen to, did you do an essential mix?
I did.
Yeah, you did. If you listen to our essential mix, it starts slow, ends up. You know, it's a massive spectrum of music on there, and that's what was the appeal for the whole big beat scene. That's why it was so popular as well, because people liked all those types of music.
But it was one of the, I guess it was one of those scenes as well. I mean, I'm saying it's one of those scenes because breakbeat's still prevalent today, but big beat was a bit different in that it was kind of a fusion of everything. But out of that scene and out of that scene very fast came Fatboy Slim, Chemical Brothers, Propeller Heads. I don't know, the list just goes on. There was a lot
Skint
of things.
Records, Big Brighton Scene,
big God, what was
Even I know they were house, but even like Basement Jacks were from that
100%,
period as well.
very eclectic, different.
And Groove Armada, you know what I mean? They're all from that period. They were our peers in that.
what was Mark Jones in Wall of Sound?
Wall of Sound.
Wall of Sound
Yeah.
was, you know, Jack the Cunt, was it? Yeah, without swearing.
Good.
Yeah, no, but you know, Monkey Mafia, Derek DeLarge. There was so many artists. Theo Wise Guys.
Yeah,
there were so many
Guys.
fantastic artists.
And there's an interesting relationship with America because this is a very UK sound, right?
Yeah.
And I was reading your Wikipedia earlier, and you remixed like Africa Bambaataa, and there is that New York block party, early hip hop touch that comes into to
Very
kind of
much
like how
so.
people rap on big beat and the vocal end, also reggae roots.
Yeah.
But you both had touring and sort of interest in North America as well as the UK. That sound travelled, right?
I think for me, and again, Jack Aston's for me, and this is what happened with the whole big beat thing. I guess it was like a bit like dubstep, and a lot of the scenes, it kind of went really massive, really quickly. And then in the UK, it dropped off a cliff overnight, literally. And I remember when we put our first record out, There's Going to Be a Riot. We were The Enemy darlings, Radio 1 darlings.
Yeah.
By the time our first album, Point Blank, came out, I was then getting called the sound of Norman's sweaty jockstrap, and do you know what I mean? And absolutely slammed.
Yeah.
And my record label, luckily enough, a guy called Gary Richards, who owned 1,500 records, which was through A&M. He loved the record and he wanted to take us to America. And Concrete, who I was signed to, a part of Deconstruction, just said, Barry, I think you should go because it's not going to happen for you here. And then we went to America and spent the next 3 or 4 years there.
So you had more popularity
Massively,
kind of sustained there.
Massively.
Yeah. And the fickle UK always chasing the
Well,
next
I mean,
trend.
yeah, because I mean, at the time as well, we were signed to a record label in America. They were called Mammoth. They were owned by Disney, so they had loads of money. And
US deal, this was, or was that global?
Sorry, what's that?
Was it a US deal?
Yeah, just only for the US because they cottoned onto the sound, and you know that's the one thing you're saying about it being UK sound. You know, we're from England. I like to make music that sounds English. I don't like to make music that sounds, you know, heavily American.
But it was influenced by America.
Yeah, but I'm saying, it's influenced. All the music was influenced, you know, but you know, it's an amalgamation of, you know, a mixture of everything. But the actual sound was very UK centric, which I think is very important because that's what they like about it, because it's not something they make. It's something distinct, you know, distinguishable.
One of my observations going over there, and it was kind of weird, it was way before EDM or dance music had really taken off whatsoever. It was kind of weird how small the club culture was in America.
Oh, yeah.
Yet you think, you know, Chicago house, Detroit techno. Do you know what I mean? It was like all this music was from them. Do you know what I mean? And I'm going around to clubs and they just didn't have the setup. They just didn't get it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was like...
I've got a funny story, actually.
Go on.
So to be honest, I think one of the worst DJ tours I ever did was the first time I ever went to America to DJ. I had this like really big agent there, and they lined up this tour.
Who was your agent? Sam Kirby?
Sam Kirby, yeah.
She's my agent as well.
Was it
Sam Kirby.
And basically, I had Navigator, who was our MC frontman, and I had a breakdancer, and this was like a DJ show with them performing as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the first show was first DJ show was in Boston, and we turned up at this really amazing club, and this guy showed his room and like, and here's Paul Oakenfold's playing it tomorrow night, and blah 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 blah. Terrible accent, but anyway. And it was like this big room. I think, this is amazing. They took us to this other area that was quite a swanky bar. I thought, this looks all right. Anyway, come back, do the DJ set. Within about half an hour of playing, I got pulled off the decks because they thought I was a hip-hop act. And I was playing, you know, our music, Prodigy, Chemical Brothers, all this big beat stuff. They hadn't really done their homework. And it was like a bit embarrassing because, like, no one was really dancing and they didn't understand it. I don't think America really got club culture until the whole dubstep. About 2009, 10.
Yeah.
A bit late, much later.
Yeah, much later. They've never really, I mean, you know, but...
They exported it to us.
That's it.
No, they didn't. It's kind of weird because, I think we imported it.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I used
agree.
Chicago and Detroit.
Yeah.
And those DJs, when they come over here, because they weren't getting no props over there.
Yeah.
No.
When they come over here and saw the love that they were getting, they were blown away.
All the big
Do you know what
American
I mean?
DJs, you know, like Todd Terry,
Roger
Masters
Sanchez.
at Work, Roger Sanchez, massive in Europe, UK, you know, but
They
in
were just
America,
getting weren't getting the love over
maybe
there.
New York. but
even New York. I would say, like, even back in the day, like when a few times I did touring, I never actually DJ'd in New York because there was no clubs. Now there is, but back in the day when we were getting bookings for
I had
gigs,
some great shows in New York.
Did a couple of band shows. They were really good, but not DJing.
Yeah.
But going back to actually America, there was the funny, anecdote. Like the American record label we were signed to spent loads of money on us. So we were on this fancy tour bus, and we were doing this tour together. Barry would turn up in this like kind of camper van. Drive yourself.
No, it wasn't a camper van. It was like a
Winnebago.
It was like a Winnebago. And I just remember, and you've got to remember the size of America, right? The size of America. So we didn't. He had his full band. We were signed to A&M, had gone bankrupt. So like we were on this tour. And we were like, it was what's that company that you hire all the vehicles off in America? That was camper. It was like I just remember
Star Tracks.
I don't remember it, like 10-hour drives because that's how big America is. It takes that long, and we just remember sitting in the back of this Winnebago, just bouncing around.
And we were in this like, you know,
Night
5-star
liner.
luxury, you know, tour bus. You know, just
we
like,
did get up to that in the end.
Yeah.
I remember my
Right.
first gig in America, and it was 25,000 people. We'd been paid a huge amount of money, and then we got there and we were headlining, and it was a festival, and we went out on the stage when it was our turn, and we set all our stuff. We set all our stuff up, and then the crowd were cheering and really, wow, like brilliant. And we didn't have the transformers or anything to do our thing, so we couldn't actually play. So all the crowd were cheering, and it was like a giant rehearsal for the rest of the tour. And then we had to literally pack all our stuff up and go, and everyone was then booing us.
That's funny. Funny, you had that. Funny enough, so I'll say one of the second tours we did, our tour manager used to arrange, because carrying a transform from the UK is not good. You just need to rent it there.
Yeah.
So we had to do this special show. The record label was based in Charlotte, in North Carolina. And Charlotte. Charlotte. No, Raleigh, North Carolina.
Right,
anyway, and we turned up at this venue, and they were told weeks and weeks in advance, you need to hire this no, they didn't have the transform
step down transformers.
and all these people from the record company are like busting their butt, they're going mental, blah blah. Anyway, so they managed to get an electrician who fiddled around with the street lamp to kind of get a wire to go into the venue, and we thought the whole thing was going to blow up.
Ours didn't.
They managed to do it. Yeah.
Ours didn't work. The thing was, the company, the American company, I don't know if it's A&M, we might have gone to Geffen by then, because A&M went bankrupt, and our first record got pulled, and then Jimmy Irvine signed us.
Right.
I was broke one day, and Jimmy Irvine had heard this record we've done with Planet Asia and said, I think it's the best thing I've heard in 15 years. The next day I flew out and did $1.5 million deal with him. And I think it was on that tour, but they gave us a fortune. It was, I think Richard Bishop was managing us at the time.
Yeah,
and America is very much about, you know, it's all got to be big.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Whatever, it's all got to be VIP. It's all got to be like, do you know what I mean? So they just give us loads of money to spend on all this equipment. But the one thing was they didn't have any transformers.
So if anyone doesn't,
all this expensive kit, and none of it.
For anyone that doesn't know what we're kind of going, because in America it's 110, and in the UK and I think rest of the world is 240. Yeah. So that's why we had to get these transformers.
So mid-90s, you meet, big beat era's exploding. It passes quickly in the UK, becomes a little bit uncool. Kind of keeps going, but it isn't cool anymore. It isn't like Radio 1, Enemy, etc.
Become the sound of Norman Sway jockstrap.
Right, exactly, yeah.
You know,
so you have this career in America, and where does that take you? Like, what kind of period are we still rocking in America? Like mid-noughties? Like, how
when
does
was 9/11?
2001.
Okay, so for me,
fell off a cliff then.
Right.
I went through a really weird period. Our first record, Point Blank, done really well. Was doing really well out there, and then A&M went bankrupt, and the record literally got pulled, and we were told to go and work on another record. Which became 6 Million Ways to Live, which was our second record, which we'd signed to Geffen, Universal. That went fantastic. So it was all that period, because we literally became Geffen's #1 priority. We were doing really, really well. We're on number 2 in the billboards. We were absolutely everywhere. I went up I did the MTV Awards with Fatboy Slim. The night before 9/11, I was up the trade towers, and we flew out to Los Angeles to start our tour, and literally sat and watched the planes fly into the buildings. And that was literally, you know, the world changed that day. But that record never came out in America. And that was literally, that's when it fell. So it was going really well up to that point. And then the world changed. And we literally, it took me 2-3 years to get that record back.
Our second album, same time period. We were it was set to come out. It was called Pressure Point. It was set to come out round about, you know, September, August of 2001.
Same here.
And
absolutely full
and
stop.
that was it. And it kind of came out and just screwed.
Done everything. The world had changed. About the time I remember, Geffen offered me, I don't know, 150, 200,000 to stay. But I was always like, you know, when you come from being on I remember it was the first time ever in my career, and that I actually thought we'd made it. you know, and I never, ever let myself ever think that. You know, I thought I've got the number one biggest record label in the world, where their number one priority, everything is absolutely, the stars are aligning. And then it went, like I said, went really tits up. And I knew that for a record company to bring you back when you're here, to go on the back burner and pull back, I just thought it was never going to happen. So I begged them to let me go. They kind of refused for a while, then they agreed, but they still took 2 years before they let me get that record back. Yeah. And then it took me 2 or 3 years to get it back, 2 years, I think. And I honestly thought that I'd walk away from that into another deal. And everyone actually didn't happen like that. Everyone went to me, everyone that we took the record to said, why has the biggest record company in the world let you go? And nobody would sign it.
Right. Wow. In the US and here?
No, in the UK, because I just wanted to come home at this stage.
Yeah.
I was kind of over America at that stage. And I just wanted to come back. Yeah. You know, America had gone, you know, the world had changed, and I toured America. America's that big that we used to go out, and this happened for 3 or 4 years, that you go out there for 6 weeks, literally play every night, and then you come home for a week and then start again. The country's that big.
It's huge.
You hadn't even touched
you just
the
keep
sides.
going around.
You know, it's incredible.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, because I learnt a lot. But I was kind of done and just wanted to get back here at that time.
And not like it is now, because there's a massive market for electronic music in America. We were like the kind of people sort of forefront of
pioneers.
Kind of people didn't really know.
Test crash dummies.
Yeah, people didn't really know, like
Literally.
what it was. You know, everyone was everything was blanketed under electronica.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it didn't have its.
I think there was
genres,
was the Winter Music Conference in Miami. That was big.
Yeah, but that was always big. But I used to go there back in the 90s. That was really good fun.
So that was big.
That was quite house music driven, though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And it was just like
there was
your
quite a big
mates
breaks thing going on there. I think Crystal Method blew up. They were like the American Chemical Brothers, I guess, which is weird because they've never made a dent over here. But you know, they were really big. I toured with them a lot, but just. Like, what was the question?
Well, so we're moving in time, right? So
Do you like
the memories might get clearer as we move along. No, so if we get to like mid noughties, right, and UK, so America's like it's changed. Yeah. You're back in the UK, looking for a record deal, getting records back.
I mean, even we had we were signed to a label called Frescanova. That was a subsidiary of Fresh Records. We had a big success with, especially Matt's record, You Sure Do. So Matt was in a group with Andy Gardner, who's now Plump DJs.
Yes.
And they were called Strike, and they had a really big, huge global.
I didn't realise that was those two. I knew it was Matt. I didn't realise.
Yeah, it was Andy.
I didn't realise that.
So and that made the label a lot of money, and they had a few other bits. So and then. I think it was the birth, like the internet was coming around, and Dave, he was quite a sort of creative type, and he had all these mad ideas, and subsequently it all went tits up, and they stopped sort of operating as a label round about 2002-3.
Yeah.
But we had our album out, Pressure Point, and then me and Matt, we didn't really have any contact with the label, but contract-wise, we were still signed to them.
Yeah.
But then we started making music under a different name, didn't want to give him the music, and it so happened we managed to get sort of dropped anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Get dropped. It's kind of a... Did you jump or were you pushed?
No. We jumped ship in a way. It's like, yeah.
So was club culture in the UK then keeping, in terms of you making records?
I mean, it was like... after the sort of big beat, because obviously we're still sort of banned under the breakbeat thing, around about 2002, there was a really good bubbling breakbeat scene. A lot of younger people started making, a lot of younger producers were starting to make the music, and it started getting bigger, and there was this thing called what was it, breakbeat?
Breakbeat.
What was the award thing they did every year?
Breaks Poll.
Breaks Poll. Yeah.
They started doing this thing, Breaks Poll, and that kind of made everyone get into it, and there was a scene, and it started becoming very healthy again.
Yeah.
So
it was at that stage that I was coming up again, like how I got into breaks. I was kind of coming out of it, even though I had my label Westway, and I still made breakbeat with the band, we'd started to morph more into songwriting and performing live.
Yeah.
And I started to get a little bit bored of the breaks in the same way that I had house music, and I started to make more 4/4. No, I did. I just I'm a bit sort of like. I go, at the time, I get bored very quickly as I do now. And luckily, after, 10, 12 albums, the eclectic work kind of people accept. Whereas at the time, I remember when I started to change my style and people would go, where is your bigger the beat? Do you know what I mean? Because I weren't playing that now. I was playing like a mixture of stuff. Or where is your crazy drunk man? Well, I'm still here.
Yeah. But it's like sounds were getting more eclectic as we got through the noughties, and you had broken beat.
Well, there was the two-step garage, UK garage.
Yeah.
That was kind of early noughties. It didn't really sort of influence what I was doing.
Fabric was coming. Fabric was.
Fabric.
The Fabric was the club Fabric
Yeah.
was a massive hub for the breakbeat sound.
There
Especially on
was
the
some
Friday
great
night.
nights in there.
And that went on for quite a long time, and they did some really good nights. But like music wise, I guess sort of drum and bass to me is never, or jungle, never gone away. But people say, oh, it went away, come back. It's never gone away.
No.
It's always been big.
Yeah. It's
I've
big
always,
now,
even if big beat was big, I always thought that music was bigger than what we were doing. It's just, as a scene, there was more people into it.
I think the thing with drum and bass, maybe jungle, clubs didn't want it. When but it stayed big. But at the time, it was like they always thought that it was sort of synonymous with certain types that were going to be causing trouble, and that's obviously not the case. But that's the interpretation.
So it was a bit of reputation.
Yeah, that's the reputation of it all.
Yeah.
And now it's like obviously, once you can start generating that much money, then people just go with it.
It's big.
I guess, and going back to another thing where we are now coming out of. Illegal raves or whatever, and talking about rave culture, whatever, they really there wouldn't be the festival scene that there is now.
No.
Until the government had worked out how they could not legalise it, but profit off these illegal raves, which was like basically,
Well, yeah, I mean,
making them legal, charging, getting loads of money, and how much money they generate.
Back in the day, anyone that went to rain dance, like the original rain dance, was like going to any. Like a mucky weekend, not as big because obviously, but they don't have tents and they have this. But it was probably they were probably illegal because obviously there was no health and safety.
No.
There was no
structure for it.
there was no structure for people. People didn't know it was all an experiment.
But that era,
the music
sort of
brought everyone together. People didn't care; they were just dancing and, enjoying the music.
Late noughties, you had the beginnings of festivals, which I think associate certainly like your music with. So Big Chill, then Festival, and that was sort of the beginning of
Homelands.
To some degree,
Tribal Gathering,
Glade Fest, Glade,
but
Glastonbury started doing all the dance stuff.
Basically, illegal dances have become festivals.
Yeah.
They've become legal, ways of putting on. They were same events, but they were now legal.
Yeah. And did that breathe life into what you were doing and allow you to be more eclectic and kind of the band and the different
I think it
sounds?
allowed you to go to a bigger audience.
Right.
And it, like I said, realistically, we've been on this wave since with the rise of festivals. I guess at the moment, right now, we're on another curve, which is, with your Live Nations and God knows what coming in, the independent festivals and clubs are being squeezed.
Yeah. Sort of corporate ownership of festivals.
Yeah, and not only that, but I think there's only 15% of artists now that are booked as through independent agents, because they're doing, major deals with the bookers from the major agencies. It's the whole thing is so entwined.
Yeah, totally. So has performing, whether DJing or as a band or combination of the two, has that been a constant throughout this whole time up until now?
Well, when we, like myself and Matt, come from the whole DJ roots background, and when we did we hadn't even finished our first album. Dave, who owned the record label, he comes from that kind of band, and he said, "Oh, we should get a band. You should do it live. Be like a live dance act." And we was just, and then we thought, okay, we'll give it a try because we had no idea how you're going to do like electronic sounds with live sounds and whatever. And somehow through experimentation and taking lots of equipment on tour, we managed to do it. And obviously when we first toured, we had break dancers. So it was a real proper big show. There was like 12 of us on the stage, not all at once, obviously, but we had a full band, and
Right, it was quite a show.
It was a proper show, and because
Nobody else was doing.
Yeah, no one had ever seen anything like that. But then as the years got, it got very expensive.
I mean, they were great records, and then add the break dancers in. They were massive hype.
It was a
You know what I mean?
yeah, it was a
Were
kid
you
hype.
playing, or were you playing to track? Were you actually?
No,
like,
no. I
triggering
had,
live?
well, we had like some of the backing on. Funnily enough, so I used to have, before I had a hard drive. Obviously technology develops as you're kind of doing. So back then I used to have like 3 samplers and an MPC. Run, like I'd press play on the, and then it would run everything. But like if there was a power cut, you'd totally fuck.
This was
You have to reboot.
We did that once in America. Like it just
constant.
and you'd have to load the discs up, and it was just a
The
nightmare.
vein of my that's been the vein of my life. Now, luckily, technology's caught up. But trying to run sequencers and samplers and
Off
everything,
discs.
and just any vibration, any humidity change, any power surge. And everything's gone. Do you know what I mean? And then you're suddenly standing there. Do you know what I mean? Going,
Put a record on.
Yeah, but then the last time we were doing the thing was just everything was like on a hard. I had a hard drive, which was a bit more. You could rely on that.
Supposedly,
a bit better.
I was
Well, I
doing
never had
that,
any problems.
And then it was
other than that,
multi-tracks.
Yeah.
And then it was like hard drives.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they're called, but we used to have stacks of them because you'd have a backup on a backup, but they all fucking go.
Yeah, and I had at home, I had all these I had all these I had like these boxes of equipment, just and it was like just.
Well, you go on a plane and then you watch it bouncing across the runway as they chucked it off the airplane.
Actually, talking back a little bit, another anecdote about America. I remember the first tour we did. You wouldn't get away with it in a million years now. I remember we had something like, because there was 12 of us, so there was quite a lot of us touring around. But I remember we had something like 100, like about 30 boxes, and like somehow they all went on every domestic flight. Nowadays, you wouldn't get away with it. And we didn't have to pay
we got
extra.
given $100,000 to spend on our backline.
Something like that. We didn't,
And I didn't realise it till much later that
you could rent it there.
and also the record label and the management would encourage it because everyone was on a percentage, and you were on a loan, but you didn't realise it. You couldn't believe you could given all this kit.
Personally, I wasn't really paying.
Personally,
I wasn't paying an attention of anything like that because I was just enjoying the ride. You know what I mean? It's just like you're just going for it. It's like amazing. I'm doing all this shit.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Until you come back, I came back after the being given the $1.5 million, and I came back a year later and thought I had about 120 grand left. I knew I'd burnt through it pretty quick. I was £16,000 overdrawn. Do you know what I mean? I'd like blown the lot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you just think it's going to go on.
Yeah.
You think this is going to, and you, like you said, you don't.
You just
think about
you just go with it.
It just keeps coming
because it's just a buzz. It's just go. I'm
the
not
cash keeps coming till it doesn't.
Yeah, and then there's a sober reality of like,
and the thing is, you're running at such a speed, you can't stop. Do you know what I mean? The runway's run out, and you're still burning through cash, and it's like you haven't got any. Do you know what I mean?
Were there moments then where you kind of cash has run out, and how do you keep creating?
I remember phoning my manager at the time saying, because I remember shaking when I found out how much I was overdrawn and how much I'd blown and how much I was still blown. And I phoned her up and I remember just saying, what are we going to do? And she said, "You've had a good time, Barry, haven't you?" That was it. Wrong answer. No! And literally, people were all on retainers. Everybody was being looked after. All these people turned on me in a New York second when they thought I was done. Do you know what I mean? And I think I phoned publishers, got some royalties, paid everyone off and started again. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It was like a massive wake-up call. Yeah. But, at the time, it just seemed like a lot of fun.
I just think having a band totally took you to a completely different audience. Like, if I didn't have a band,
well, that's what I did.
I wouldn't have been able to do all these, like... going back to America, we did all these tours with these like rock bands. I toured with Lenny Kravitz.
Wow.
I mean, I wouldn't put Freestylers and Lenny Kravitz in the same sentence, really.
Yeah.
But, he must have seen what we did. He asked us to come and support him on his American Woman tour. We've filled in for some band for like 10 of these dates. But we're like mixing all these like rockers and everything. And it was great. But I would never have done that if I hadn't had a band. If I was just DJing, because DJ culture back then in America was
not it.
Not really.
Well, that's why I think that's where, because I was a DJ and started in America as a DJ. And then on the second album, they wanted us to become a band. They wanted us to put it together and things like that. And then we did the Vans Warped Tour, which again was like suddenly you're playing with Limp Bizkit, Korn.
Yeah, that's it.
Amazing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All these people every night, and you're rotating. It was like, that's when I learnt about merchandise. Because Americans are one thing I'll give them. It's when I learnt about going to do signings, giving people the time, because you would turn up, first shows you were doing, you'd be two people and a dog. They'd bring their mates to the next show. They're hugely loyal. They'll buy all the merch, and if you invest the time, and I realise that's, you know, to invest that time into the, you know, into your fan base and everything massively.
Yeah, huge.
Learned that.
All right, so let's fast forward a bit to you guys making music together and getting to this new album, Enter the Sound. When did you first get in the studio together and make a record?
Well, Barry, what was your last album called? Frontline.
Frontline.
Yeah, so when with Barry's album Frontline, we ended up working on 5 tracks,
5 or 6
tracks for that album.
Did a couple of remixes.
And we got on really well. And then Abel, who's my manager and sort of looks after Barry, said, "Why don't you brainstorm?
It's
not an easy job.
Creative,
not an easy job.
Creative brainstorm. Why don't you do an album together?"
Yeah.
So I thought, okay.
I think there was a point. I think we had one of the tracks on the album was Dub Pistols' Freestylers on Frontline.
Yes.
And there was a point where we did a track Soundboy, and it was a deliberate nod back to Cyclone and Roughneck or B-Boy stance, which was like, it's the first time that you could go back to being big beat.
Yes.
Do you know, unashamedly? And it's a wicked tune, but that was the first time it went, all right, this all makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's when we got together and sort of went, all right, we're going to
So
do
all
it.
that shared history, commonality.
Yeah.
And also that time passed.
Yeah.
You know, it was a fantastic period. But for a long time, you kind of like all those things, it's like something to beat you with. But it's not, this is where we come from. This is what it is.
And I guess because, I mean, our music's always had a lot of different elements, but Barry's music has sort of come closer to what we were doing, and it kind of made sense in a way, you know, as of the last 10 odd years. And obviously we do loads of shows together, whether it's DJing or when I was doing the band shows. But
What is that, the kind of nod to jungle in some of the tracks and the kind
what
of
are you talking about the album?
No, when you say that your music's come closer.
Well, yeah, like the kind of reggae sort of synergy, you know, the kind of thing.
And then the beats.
Yeah, and the
like you
beat,
say, and then I guess the eclecticness of it, and then throwing yourself into, like you say, drum and bass, or you know, trip hop. We've almost revisited on the new album and things like that. It's, I mean, I love this new album. I think it's like there's so many fantastic.
Well, I love it too.
It's a banger.
As a body of music, I definitely, it really scans well. I'm not just saying it because I've made it, but it scans really well as an album. And I mean, we had an album out during COVID, I think it was. But I mean, that's a good album. But this is much better because it definitely has a theme to it.
It's got some fantastic artists.
Because I work with Barry, of course.
Yeah.
I think it's got some fantastic artists on it. You know, when again, you had these meetings with yourselves, the label. That's me, isn't it? It's the label. Abel, ourselves, and you're sitting down and you're trying to work out, which is really hard, what tracks are for radio, and you realise that there's so many tracks there that could be singles. Do you know what I mean? There's so many good tracks, and that's like, wow.
Yeah.
And normally you have like, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
And I think actually making the album, it just came together really naturally and just
it's quite quick.
very quick. There wasn't any like moments, even like
Hang on, I'm going to throw you under a bus because when we're in the studio, there is not a day go by where he won't have a meltdown and smash his keyboard up. He did it yesterday.
I like doing things quick, and if it doesn't work quick, I get.
But are you the technical guy? Are you actually building?
Yeah.
His hands on the keyboard.
You're like, Barry, I can't go this fast.
oh.
Yeah, it's like, when you're moving around something in Logic and it just completely screws you over. And it's just like, they should have never had that function in the first place.
Yeah.
I love it because
when you're
I've
in the
got used to it now. When your first time you're in the studio, like, don't get me wrong,
I think a lot of
I'm an
people do it,
emotional
though.
person. Do you know what I mean?
I think a lot of people.
Of course they do. I'm just.
Yeah.
I'm just
I know.
I'm throwing this in there for content.
No.
I like
It's
it.
brilliant, but it adds to the character, right?
That's what I'm saying. I'm throwing this in there for content.
Yeah.
But the actual process of making the album, like even recording, like all the artists we work with. I mean, I haven't actually been in a studio working with singers or rappers or whatever for a long time, because nowadays you send someone a beat, you get it back, whether you like it or not. We actually went in the studio with Nick Manassas, who's a foundation reggae guy from the UK, and
Just record,
And
It's
we've got to
just great
record,
to get
yeah.
people in the
Amazing.
room, get vibing, get the
I
idea.
got to meet. Well, you weren't there, but I got to meet Johnny Osborne. You know what I mean? It's just like
Wow. Legend.
Just a legend in the reggae scene. Tipper Irie, General Levy,
And that was great. And not again, say the track with Tipper, there was about 3 or 4 times it weren't working. And then we
I
got
wasn't
together
there.
in the studio. No, but you.
Oh,
well,
yeah,
no, you-
oh yeah, that's
and then
right.
We weren't
Yeah.
feeling what he was
That's
doing.
right, yeah.
Do you know
But
what
then
I
you
mean?
got in the studio
Then we
and
got in the
then-
studio and we managed to nail it. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like, that was an incredible moment. He's just amazing, Tipper. He's lovely. But General Levy, the track we done with General Levy, which was Aston's idea to get him on a breaks track, take him away from jungle drum and bass, get him to do something else. And I think the actual lyrics that he's delivered for that are the best thing he's done in years.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's great,
and
that.
he's nodding to everything in it. And I just think that's a fantastic track.
Yeah,
Like,
because
we
with
really-
generally, most people ever hear him is on jungle or reggae, and he said he was really excited, and like he said he was, excited to get his teeth into this track because it was something completely different to what he normally does. So
Yeah, and I think the lyrical content.
Yeah,
as
no,
well,
no,
it's
yeah,
absolute
no, it's
vibes.
brilliant.
And I'm
Yeah,
like, when you know that
it's a proper
that's a
full on
tune.
vocal assault. But
I think the Harry Shot tune, which is the next single, which will probably be out before this podcast. I just think that is just an absolute. So many absolute tunes. Do you know what I mean?
How are you curating all these guests? Have you just got a wish list? Are they mates? Like,
I think what it is, you generally come up with a beat and then start thinking about
you
who's
think
going
of
to fit.
someone?
You know, and then sometimes you'll send it to people and it won't be that for them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? In terms of they'll send it back and be like, oh, not quite right for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then it's just. But again, it hasn't been procrastinating or waiting for too long. It's like where something's right and who's going to fit on it. I think.
I mean, sometimes you can send it to your publisher, and it's like, oh, wait,
Tumbleweeds.
and you'll get 6 track. I remember when we did Push Up. Actually, when you're writing a track, you just put a title so you know what it's called. And I think I called originally the backing track to Push Up was Funk Box.
And they come up with a song called Funk Box.
Someone and I say, and I think my publisher sent, and I get this girl coming, oh, my Funk Box, baby, and it's just
Show
like
me your Funk Box.
I was just like, no, that was just a working title, and whatever you wrote wasn't very good anyway. But it's like, yeah,
Listen, your Funk Box ain't working for me, babe. It stinks.
but yeah.
So, are there any like musical genres where you feel like you're out of your comfort zone when you're making a record? You're like, oh, this person's just.
I don't think you make it if it kind of wasn't.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And I think, again, because we've both been doing it for so long, that we're quite eclectic. When you do your first record or you have your first hit, then everybody wants it to be that forever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Now, how many albums you got?
This was my 7th album, yeah.
7th. So I think I'm on my 10th or 11th,
Yeah.
which
Stop
has been
showing
an
off.
eclectic. I'm not, but what I'm trying to get to is...
He knew that.
what I'm trying to get to is that because you've done it over a period of time and you've been eclectic on a journey, that now people know that you're going to be all over the place and will accept it, as opposed to you want to be that one genre.
Yeah, gives you the
one dude
confidence.
thing. And like I said, now we can revisit things that are,
Yeah.
that before you would just move away from because you just wanted to get away from something and just
Definitely.
explore other avenues.
Well, when you look at dance music now and sort of younger people coming up making music, I think there's far less expectation for people to stay in their lane.
Yeah.
People are way more eclectic. in
Yeah,
terms
well,
of
I mean,
what
like,
they're doing.
yeah, you see some of these DJs, like even like like Fred again or this guy Hamdi, or even like Fish Ottsgood. I know he's not really known for his, but he plays a massive,
Huge range.
spectrum of
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to do that. Why can't I do that? Because I've always sort of like had to. But good luck to them. They play. You hear them doing house stuff, bassline house,
Yeah.
trap. all in their set, jungle, and
Yeah.
it's just like. It should be like that,
Yeah.
because there's so much music for
But
people
I think
to discover.
it's like that now, I think, in part, because you guys have built a foundation.
Maybe.
Of
Well, I
this.
still think you're part of King of the Beats. I think I've been able to be freer in what I do, but I guess probably because most of my time now is spent performing live. So when I do DJ sets, I'm not part. Maybe I'll go off and do a drum and bass or a jungle cake show, or maybe occasionally I'll get invited to play a breakbeat set. But it's not. I can go and play a dub set, this, that, and the other, and people don't mind. Whereas you're King of the Beats.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And you still do
especially
with your
if I go
thing.
to Spain, which they just want breakbeat,
They want breakbeat,
can't play any drum and bass or whatever. I mean, yeah.
But I think the other thing as well is obviously festivals you can get away with
Yes.
whatever you want. Do you know what I mean? I think that's where I like playing shows, just because people are there and they're a lot more sort of open-minded.
Yeah.
Whereas if, like I said with yourself, you get your whole night's probably programmed around breakbeat.
Yeah, a lot of the night. Yeah, they're not eclectic nights.
No.
I mean, I want to play. I like all types of dance music, and I want to play it all, but unfortunately,
That's
no,
why
maybe I'll.
That's why I
they're
put
getting
on,
you off the decks. Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
You'll need to
Yeah,
leave
yeah.
now.
But that's why I put on my own nights so no one can kick
Maybe
me
I should
off.
just
Yes.
maybe next year. Next year I should do programs.
Yeah, that's exactly that.
it's like-
that's what I do.
I mean, the thing is, we've been doing like a King of the Beats thing up in Manchester, and it's like the three of us DJing, Crafty Cuts, Plump DJs, myself.
Yes.
And then we do our back-to-back thing, and they kind of play but I just go off on a tangent and play.
I bet that pleases them.
No, no, but I
'Cause they have to
and I do
follow
it
it.
last.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's what
what you
next
like.
year I'd like to maybe program a night where I can get to play
Well, that's
all
what
my favourite
that's
things.
been my
you know what I mean?
concept for a while.
Well, maybe we should.
Are you going to play
know.
together on this tour? Are you going to tour?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. I'm gonna
We've started doing a few shows
Yeah, I'm gonna-
this year.
yeah.
Great.
I mean, Aston joined us at Mucky this year on
Yeah,
stage.
I didn't do that much, but
No,
the
I
thing is,
know,
I
but
think
you did
I
start
think what I'm going to
joining
do,
us.
because obviously to promote the album, I'm going to do some in stores, and somehow I'm going to work myself into the band with Barry, and also do some DJ sets as well. Obviously, but
Yes, the idea is, I mean, my idea initially, and we're still trying to work on how we pull this concept together, because it is Dub Pistols and Freestylers, is how, because we have the band, do you know what I mean? And we have various different MCs that cross over, is how we can incorporate both and not just do the new album as well, but take the best bits out of our history
Yes.
together as well.
Yeah.
That's what my concept of where I would like to see it.
Yeah.
Do you know
I
what
think
I mean?
audiences would love that and go back into early freestylers.
You know,
or early
where
dance
the
tours or-
band,
Yeah.
the band can play all of these songs. Do you know what I mean? And then just bring the guests
Yeah.
in and ourselves. So that's kind of, as well as bringing in the new stuff, also give them a bit of Dub Pistols and a bit of Freestylers history.
And some of these guests have also guested with you previously in different incarnations over the years.
Shawnee's been regular.
Sure, yeah.
Tipper, first time we worked with him. Marcel, who would probably cross over because he used to be in the Dub Pistols and used to be in Freestylers.
But actually, recording on the album, the only person I think, there's two vocalists, Scarlett Quinn. She did a track on our last album called Fabulous, and
That's a great track.
thank you.
Yeah.
And
think we
Bill
skipped-
Humble, who sung on Cracks, that was like massive dubstep tune.
Well, I think Give Me Love, which is Bell Humble,
Yeah.
and Whiskey and Water,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
the tracks,
Scarlet,
yeah,
which are two again, absolute. I mean, curveballs for anyone who's expecting what's going on between us, but two absolutely incredible tracks,
Great.
that are like, I mean, they're a proper nod. Bell Humble, I think Give Me Love is a nod back to that early trip up, as is Whiskey and Water, real beautiful moment.
Well, I always wanted to do, even like years ago, when dubstep kind of, because it was sort of reggae, dubby inspired, but it just went all noisy. I always wanted to do like a proper electronic dub record, right? But like clubby sort of thing. And I think Give Me Love has definitely sort of ticked all those boxes for myself. Do you know what I mean? And also so when Cracks
kind of
came out,
reminds me a
people
bit
loved
of early
it.
Left Field.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
that I
It's
can't remember what's
got
the
that
track
kind
that there's a Left Field. There was a track.
Give me, you know,
What's the track? I can't
check,
remember.
not check one, not a check one.
Our sound engineer always used to sound check. I can't remember. There's a Left Field track.
Yeah.
And I said our sound engineer used to always sound check the sound system
Original.
with a particular.
Was it
I
original?
can't remember. It's like some slow,
Yeah,
heavy
it might
bass.
be original. Might be
sort of thing.
original.
But yeah, no, I think Give Me Love, and that's going to be a single as well. And hopefully people, because Cracks was huge in the States because of dubstep. I mean, because it was bigger over there. But hopefully people will remember her voice from Cracks and just, you know. Her,
It doesn't matter.
no.
Should
but
stand
it's
on
a
its
full,
own.
Give Me Love is like a full song, whereas Cracks was just a one hook. So.
So finishing the record, how you finish music and how you finish creating, who's the biggest perfectionist? Who's like
Oh, definitely
holding on?
me. Well, I don't really hold. That's the thing, you know. A lot of people say to producers,
It's hard.
you know, it's like when do you know
it
when
done?
something's finished? Because we've been doing it so long, we kind of know.
I think it's easier now than it used to be.
Right. Because you can do more yourself now. You can.
No, I just
that,
mean in terms of when it's done. I think in the old days, you probably work stupid hours and at stupid volumes.
Yeah.
And at stupid, now I think you work a certain amount of hours a day. I don't mean to sound like it's a 9-to-5 job, and you listen with different ears and at different levels.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then you go away and then you'll listen to it, and you just know, right?
And then you listen to, obviously you listen to other people's music, and you listen to there's only 3 elements in that track. But it's just an amazing record. It's like, well, I was going to make a track. Why can't I make a record with 3 elements and make it so? So you do in a way, and then
Less
and
is
then
more.
it's
I
like
think the hardest thing now is trying to make a record for 3 minutes or whatever the attention span is of a newt these days.
Do you worry about that? Do you think about that?
no,
Try you.
I don't.
No.
You think about it and then ignore it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, this is the weirdest thing about the era we're going into, in that, there would be no Pink Floyd in a modern world. There'd be no one who had a big long intro into a song. There'd be no one with a bridge, because you can't fit it in 3 minutes or 30 seconds, how long we got. Do you know what I mean? And the way you mix now is like, it's got to be able to be audible on the phone, because that's how people listen and consume their music. So, but you can't.
No.
You can't let your mind think like that.
No. Well, house music, that those house records where you've got mixes that were long blends where there's probably 3 minutes on
We
each
were talking
record
about me and
blend.
Aston were in the studio yesterday doing a remix of one of my our favourite, I think, breakbeat tunes. But it was like we realised it was going on, and I had to compare it, because you think about progressive house tracks were 9 minutes long.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You played the whole thing.
Yeah, and half of it in the mix
you
with the
played
next
the
one.
whole thing, and then you blended it. And now, literally, you're lucky if you get a chorus or 16 bars.
A club
Or
mix
someone
nowadays
smashed
is
it in.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
3.5
Everyone's talking
minutes.
about double, triple dropping. It's like,
Yeah.
we do that
Yeah,
on
yeah.
turntable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Absolutely.
like, they're nice because, but there's just smack.
I think
I don't even know
yeah.
why I bothered making this record, because you just
I think if you built a record creatively and it just happens to be that it's 3 minutes long, then that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, when it comes to vocal, it's a weird sort of situation. If you've done something that's all vocal driven, then it's probably easier to kind of, because you've got your verse, chorus, end. Yeah. But when it's kind of you want some of the instrumentation and the music,
Verse,
and you know what I mean, and then it's a bit
verse,
harder.
bridge, chorus.
Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
No, but you know what I'm saying. So that would be the typical formula. But that's all gone out the window.
But a lot of that dance music and club culture, it's about taking people on a journey
right,
with the track, and that does require some time to
That's
get
right,
into
yeah.
it.
Well, but this is exactly the
I was saying,
conversation we were having.
yesterday. I was saying, people make these records. It's going to have a big build up, and you want to break down, and then it builds, and it's a story, it's a journey.
Yeah.
If it's going to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, play the rap. I'm not one of these DJs personally that has to play 30 records in a minute. You know?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
some people
Stars
do
on
it.
45.
Some people do it. Some people like
that's
doing
not
it.
to
3
say
minutes.
they're wrong,
No,
but it's just not
it's
my
just their
style.
creative
Choice.
style. It's just like I like to play a breakdown. I mean, you know, in my DJ sets, I do play a lot of my own records, so I know where things. And I like to. I've made a breakdown specifically styled to have that impact for the the crowd and everything. But obviously, the album tracks are more
An album.
Yeah.
with a club sound.
We
That's what
we
they
do
are.
plan to do a remixed album of it. I mean, some of them are standalone club tracks, but I do think we do intend to do a remix version of it as
Yeah.
well.
You can get some 9-minute
pure
progressive
cla-
house.
Yeah. No, and I mean, one of my favourite tracks. Again, you saying about this album going all over the place, and it certainly does, from trip hop to breakbeat to drum and bass, and then almost revisiting one of Aston's early tracks that never ever saw the light, which came out on vinyl, but to revisit Believe Me Now.
Oh yeah.
Believe we can talk about it because this podcast is going to come out, and so's the record, so we can.
Oh, is
actually
it going to
talk
come out
about,
when the album comes out?
This is the whole thing to promote this.
Oh,
record.
right,
So
okay.
Believe Me Now, which I think it's just an amazing, again, another amazing record.
Yeah.
You would say that.
Wait, so when was it first made?
Well, that's what
the
kind of
first
got
idea.
that's what kind of got Freestylers hyped up in the first place back in '98
Right.
when Tenafly recorded his vocal.
Yeah.
And we had this chorus that he sung. You know, like a lot of traditional reggae culture, they'll sing popular tracks. They'll take the melody, change the
proper
lyrics.
melodies, yeah.
And that's what he did, and that got us. We
mashup.
kind of got banned, and like, yeah.
It might happen
Right.
again, but
But
if
we
it's-
don't know.
So you couldn't release it because it was a.
No, we had it on promo, so
I've got it on
yeah,
vinyl.
that was on
I've got it
vinyl.
on
Yeah,
vinyl.
Right.
it wasn't CD.
White
Well,
label
yeah, it
promos.
was.
Yeah, which we
and
did
and
back
they were going for some people like £400-500. I heard people were selling these promos because there was a band version of Feel the Panic. So we had this EP and it had B-Boy Stance, Feel the Panic, that had a sample from Aerosmith. That's what it was.
I love that.
Walk
I
This
love that.
Way.
I love that.
And
I
it
love
had
that
Walk
record.
This
I used to
Way. And I
hammer
think
that.
Judge Jules played it. At
I
the
used to
time.
hammer it.
Anyway, and then fast forward, we did this track and we didn't know that was going to happen this year with these guys that were going to.
No, that they would get back together again. We're not going to mention them because otherwise they're going to come looking for us. I know they are. But luckily I do.
Are you friendly with his?
No, moving on. Cut. I mean, I've had some great times with both of them. Do you know what I mean? And I used to come round our house, just giving it all away. But yeah, so it was just weird that, like he said, this record never came out because this band took off at a certain time.
Yeah.
And it's weird that we did this record again and they decided to reform.
Yes.
This was done. We had no idea.
Yeah.
I think they know. They know.
knew
We're
you were
keeping an
coming.
eye on
Because
you.
I said,
You
like,
know.
when I found all these, I found these vocals of Tenafly that were on my. I used to have everything on samplers, not in the computer, and so I've got all this. I ran off all these samples ages ago, and I found all these verses that I never used. So
Yeah. So they're the original sessions.
yeah, the original, yeah.
And then Spider's absolutely smashed it on
Spider,
that.
yeah,
Spider's
yeah.
absolutely
Yeah,
nailed
he's
it.
great,
I mean,
yeah.
it is a big tune. I actually think it might be the drum and bass track of the summer next year. I think it's I think festivals are going to go crazy.
Yeah.
Whenever we played it, we started to do it live now as
Right.
well. And whenever we do it, it's just like
big.
because of the connotations of that intro, and then just to groove it. Yeah, I've got a feeling it's going to be a big record, big club record, big festival record.
Exciting. All right. So if you could have like anyone on the record, like World is Your Oyster as a guest, who's missing? Who would you have?
Oh, I'd have to say
Where do you
Tenafly.
start?
Well, I know new Tenafly.
I think
brand new.
what you're saying is anyone throughout history, right?
Oh, anyway.
Anyone living. Let's keep it to the living.
Okay.
Current today.
Well, we tried to work with Congo Natty, but
Yeah, I think we can. Anyone living today? I mean, there's. I mean, I would love
What
to.
kind, it depends what kind of style you want.
Yeah,
If you want
again, I've
reggae,
always
you
wanted.
get this one. If you want,
I've always
like,
wanted to get Roots Maneuver
Big-
on a record.
big-
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Damian Marley would be fantastic.
Yeah.
on a complete. I mean, what's the name of the? I can't remember. her
Snoop
surname.
Dogg would be nice if you're watching.
Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
Dre.
I think that's just a question of can you write the check, right? for
Yeah.
Snoop?
They what they're going to give to us?
Yeah.
Right. They were in
Should
a proper
be.
production.
I don't know if you know, but there was. I don't know. I've forgotten her surname, but her name's. She was in Effervescence, and her name's Amy, someone or other. That's really bad, but I know she has the most amazing, powerful voice.
I think she's dead.
No, she's not dead. No. Amy.
I was thinking the girl from up the road.
Can you Google it?
I'm trying to Google it. Evanescence.
Evanescence, whatever her name is, Amy, someone or other. She's like a kind of gothic-y sort of like.
Right,
she's got an
okay.
amazing, strong voice.
Amy.
I don't know. I'd like Shaka Khan.
Amy Lee.
Amy Lee. That's
Amy
it.
Lee.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, there's
Shaka
so
Khan.
many
There's
people.
so many classics. Jocelyn, you know, all
Yeah.
the, you know. So
Yeah, Shaka
we're
Khan
quite
would be
old,
cool.
so we
I
like all
tried to
the.
get Jocelyn for I had Jocelyn Brown once, and she sang. I used to do a part in at Carnival, and we're at the Mason's Arms, and she came and sang in the middle of the pub, and it was just the hair on your arm. And honestly, just belted out. I can't get off of my horse.
Yeah,
and
no,
it just
yeah,
plays,
yeah,
just
yeah.
went crazy.
So there's a second album I can
Yeah,
see.
I think
bit of
we've
soul
already started,
vocal,
we've
bit of-
putting some beats together.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Great. All right, so we're going to do some rapid fire questions. Okay, first tune you ever played in a DJ set?
First tune ever.
I couldn't remember that. So good
I mean, I
luck
can
on that one.
go probably something like, because I was well into my old school here. Actually, you know what? It probably would have been like Looking for the Perfect Beat or Planet Rock,
Yeah.
something like that.
I really couldn't remember.
It would have been something.
I
like
couldn't remember. I used to have a couple of record shops and just had so much vinyl, but I just cannot tell you what the first record.
I know the
First
first
record you
records I
bought?
bought.
First
I know.
record you bought?
It was two. Hit Me With Your Rhythm Stick by Injury and the Blockheads. For some reason, I was
Nice.
probably like, I don't know, 7. It just seemed just mad. I don't know. I just loved it. And
Yeah.
also, Yarborough and People, Don't Stop the Music.
Nice.
Completely different ends of the
Yeah,
spectrum.
yeah.
Possibly Oliver's Army or the Wombles.
Wombles. Love the Wombles.
I mean, it used to be beautiful because you used to be able to go Woolworths and buy all your records.
All your CD
I mean, I guess it would be like the Disney soundtracks before that. But that's a
Something-
bit
Yeah.
younger, but
Yeah.
Something very young, and then Oliver's Army. You know, the Specials were a massive influence on me. The Jam, the Clash, the Sex Pistols. They were all my early stuff, and then after that into jazz, funk, disco, God knows hip hop.
and I bought them. I remember it was on 7-inch singles in Woolworths.
Yeah.
I used to just love sitting there, and I'm just used to be out
Showing our
records
age
on
now.
stacks.
Yeah, I remember getting CD
But
singles in
loved
Woolworths.
it.
Yeah.
I remember being running clubs, and when CDs first came in, and this was a whole thing about dance and rave culture, I guess, in those days, that CDs weren't chart eligible. Not CDs were chart eligible, and they didn't. They'd stopped including the vinyl, and we were selling like 5, 10, 15,000 copies of an underground dance record, and the CDs were selling nothing. Do you know what I mean? And obviously those records never
Yeah.
saw the light of day in terms
Yeah.
of charts. Or
Well, and the white
overall.
label culture,
Yeah.
you know, you could sell
Yeah, we used to
5,000,
stand there
10,000
in
white
a,
labels.
stand there in a dance on a box. You know what I mean? As the DJ dropped it, just stick your hands in the air and just sell it.
Yeah.
You
At
know,
the gig.
or go to
Yeah.
the gig.
Well,
Yeah.
I remember. Well, I remember when there was there was that time when there was like CD players. Pioneer just brought out their, I think early 1000, like an early 1000 when
Yeah.
it started getting better. So I thought, oh right, this is like now I can move over. So I remember DJing on vinyl and CDs.
Yeah.
So, you know, but then there was a stage where it
I
completely
used to
went CDs.
love. I
Yeah.
just used to love. Don't get me wrong. I don't miss carrying
Yeah.
records. I don't miss storing records all over your house where you've just got a walkway through
yeah.
and your ceiling's about to drop in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I loved record shopping. I used to know when every import van was going to come in.
Yeah.
And you would literally do the whole of London, go
Yeah.
around different record shops, 3, 4, 5, 6 a day just
Yeah.
to get your imports and your exclusives.
Was there a shop where you always got
Yeah.
your records, like Black Market? Or,
I used to go
Black-
City
Black
Sounds.
Market,
City
I mean,
Sounds.
literally everywhere.
Holborn.
Black Market, Zoom in Camden, where Paul Daly left field and everyone used to just literally different.
Groove Records.
Groove Records.
My first record shop was Groove Spin-Offs that was in Fulham Palace Road. They used to advertise it. You can buy the GLI mixer that was like the best mixer you could buy back in like 8. You know,
Was that like a Gemini?
Yeah. You know, had the
sound, because remember, I don't know how poor you were when you had your sound labs.
No, I
Sound
had
lab.
a phonic mixer. I had a
Direct
phonic
drive.
mixer. I had a
Sound
phonic
lab.
Do you know what I mean? It was just like, you
No,
know.
I think if you're really poor, then you
we
had
used to even use those at clubs.
What was the one I used to buy
early
in
the days?
not Curry? Was it? What's the shop?
Our price.
No,
Oh,
I know what you mean.
Dixon's.
No,
it wasn't.
not Tandy, but it was.
I think it was
Tandy,
It was like this
Tandy,
mixer that was just like a
awful
yeah.
machine. Awful machine.
And also, there was another record shop that was in Rayners Lane because that was kind of near me. It's called R&D
I used
Records,
to do all mine in Kings Road and all round Soho.
where Simon Dunmore used to work.
Wow,
He was,
okay.
and it's run by this guy John Jules
Okay.
and Simon Dunmore. So yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
interesting. Yeah. I worked
That
at
was in
Vinyl
Rayners
Junkies
Lane.
on Berwick Street. For a
Yes,
while.
there you go. That's
Got my
somewhere
teeth.
Oh, right,
to go.
Vinyl Junkies, in the basement.
Yeah.
And Daddy Cool from Daddy Cool's was the landlord.
Oh right.
And he
okay.
was, he's no longer with
I
us.
actually used to like going to HMV, the big one, the mega store.
Yeah.
Because you get loads of like, they had a massive selection of funk. I don't know, just
We
like
had-
good
we had-
compilations and stuff you can get.
The record shops we had was Deja Vu in Covent Garden, and we had Future Records in the garage in Kings Road. That was it didn't last very long, but because we used to sit there getting stoned out of our head selling records, but just loved it.
Can you pick a rave tune, a 12-inch from those days that stands the test of
A
time?
rave tune.
Yeah.
When you say
Or a
rave
dance
tune,
tune.
say "Break for Love" still stands. Alison Limerick, "Where Love Lives," and when I had Alison Limerick, play
Yeah,
for us last year,
did you?
Just like down, 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 down,
Yeah.
down, down,
Great
down,
tune,
you know,
yeah,
it's stuff
yeah.
Probably something
amazing.
like anything by what's his bloody hell, my brain's he used to do hip house. What's his name? God. Fast Eddie, I should know. I did the
Fast
tune.
Eddie,
Fast
yeah,
Eddie,
yeah.
yeah. Like Fast Eddie's first album was brilliant. It was
Yeah.
just like a mixture of hip hop and house and acid house. It was just like,
I mean, I used to,
they still
I love
sound good.
acid
Actually, you know what
house.
record still sounds really, really good from back in those days? And I remember, because, you know, like nowadays you can just Shazam something or find it on YouTube. It was harder that made it more exciting as well, trying to discover records.
Absolutely, and trying to hide your
But
records.
there was a Steve Silk Hurley remix of Ooh Ah, Here It Comes by Roberta Flack.
right.
And that still sounds
wow.
amazing today. Do you know that record?
I haven't heard that.
Oh,
no.
you should do that.
Yeah.
It's just brilliant.
Yeah.
Promised Land, Joe
I actually
Smooth.
think what's the name still sounds very good. It's Shannon. Let the music play. I think that's
Yeah.
probably the
Yeah.
best. I think that's the best sounding, apart from Planet Rock. That's probably the best sounding electronic record for me, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it still sounds amazing. Like how they mixed it, it's just brilliant. That record.
And any
Shannon.
like current dance tracks that you're just like, wow, I wish I'd made that.
Probably think anything by the Prodigy.
I can't remember the last time I thought Prodigy made a good record. I
Oh, no, I
obviously,
I like
I'm
it.
not so much into their new stuff. I mean, Fat of the Land and all that, absolutely incredible. And prior to that, excuse me, and I don't, my friends and probably will kick me next time they see me, but I just, it hasn't. Maybe it's just I get.
Trying to think. There's probably a lot. You know what it is? If I see it, I remember it. But like,
Not sure.
yeah, there's records probably. I don't know. I like a lot of for drum and bass. I like a lot of Soft Focus's music. So probably something
Yeah.
his I would have liked, or I can't think of anything right this second what I like. Probably something on my record box.
Yeah. Where do you think dance music is going next? What's the future?
I think it's difficult. I think we're finding ourselves in a real crossroads in that I think post-COVID, where the kids stopped going out, stopped drinking, socialised online, it's made it much more difficult. And then with independent venues closing down and the kids being more healthy, which isn't a bad thing. It's a difficult time, and then music becoming worthless in terms of streaming and whatever. I think it's a difficult time. But what I do believe, and I strongly believe, is that whenever these situations have presented themselves in the past, then that's when the underground, and it's the one, the independents, the people that have been underground, they're the ones that will stay and rebuild the scene.
Agree with
I
that.
think right now it's in a difficult place, but I do believe out of that is where the beautiful things, and that's when it starts to rebuild itself.
There's so much music released a week. You know, it's just like, I don't know how you keep up with it. It's
But it's talking about going out in clubs and socialising and putting on events, which again, because you're Live Nations, because of all the circumstances I just mentioned, then it will literally go back to the underground and it will rebuild itself from those that are doing it for the right reasons.
Totally. Smaller clubs and smaller festivals.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
on smaller festivals, we should talk about Mucky Weekender as a independent, smaller festival. What made you start that? Like, because it's a big deal to take on a festival.
I've always been a club promoter since 1987. After I came back from my first year in Ibiza, I've run clubs throughout my career. I've always put on my own nights. I got presented with the opportunity. Someone gave me a field, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. I've always been a bit like that. I just thought, what's the worst that can happen? And just did it. And I think we had about 700 to 900 people at the first one.
And what year was that?
I guess it would have been, this was our 6th year, so it would have been 7 years ago. So we're 2005. So what would that have been? 2018?
2018?
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah, pre-COVID.
2018. And then we lost the owner had a mental breakdown. We only run it on temps. And so we had to find a new site, and some friends of mine who used to run a festival on the site said to me that they're not going to do their event and gave me the site, which I knew really well, and just jumped at the chance. Great. And then it's just grown year on year.
Sorry, where was the first site?
The first one was in East Sussex.
Whereabouts?
I can't remember
A
the name
field
of the
somewhere.
town. It was a field, and
country
we
lane.
literally turned the lights on an hour before the event opened. Do you know what I mean? It was like, it was on 2 temporaries.
And they found a
it was a fantastic event. We lost money, but it was, it happened. We got run out of town. I learnt a lot because I didn't know anything then.
Yeah.
And year on year, it's just been about learning and building. And it's the thing about Mucky Weekender, it's been this incredible community. Most of the people have been there nearly every year.
Yeah.
And they just brought more people
Yeah.
and more people. And now we find ourselves, everybody's hitting you up all the time asking if they can play. We've already hit, I think, 65% of our ticket sales, and it'll probably be a lot more by the time this podcast goes out.
Amazing.
But I'm talking about in a month and a half of the last event, and that's without any money or marketing or releasing any artists. So it's an incredible position, and where we are blessed because right now, for all the reasons I said, so many independent festivals are struggling.
Yeah. But it goes back, I think, also to what you were saying about, club culture and this shared experience, the kind of experiential nature of like hearing music together with people, hearing it performed on speakers, not in earbuds, having that experience. The 90s club culture was very much like that was where you heard the music for the first time. It was the only place you could hear a lot of it. And it built a community. It seems like Mucky Weekender, you've created something like that.
Yeah, I mean, did we set out to do that? I think I just don't know
happened.
what
It
we
happened.
did. It kind of happened, and again, because I'm quite lucky, all the artists, all the years that I've performed, and all the festival that I've performed, I've met so many artists, and I know who's actually decent at their job, and I normally have a kind of hotline to them, so I can get them to ask them to come and perform for me, and most of them, 99% of them agree. And like I said, there's not a single artist that play at Mucky that I don't know or haven't seen before. So I know they can deliver.
Great.
The maddest thing was, this year is probably the worst conditions and it was a proper muggy weekender. But
Muddy,
no one
it
was
was muddy.
weekender.
I've always
But
kind of
no
wondered,
one
are you
was really
tempting fate with that name, or are we going somewhere else with that
It was
name?
weird because I never felt comfortable about using that name. I mean, obviously, Mucky Weekender comes from one of our probably biggest tunes, but it's about debauched weekend.
Yes.
Obviously.
It's not about the weather.
No, but
For anyone who
it's
hasn't
kind
been.
of weird because when people see the name, they think it's some sort of like swingers weekend.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
You could do a swingers tent.
What is this
Hey,
mucky
mate,
weekend?
That'd be a good idea to get some more customers, clients.
Yeah. So
To
yeah,
a
it's,
swinging
The
stage.
VIP ticket.
it's probably not the most corporate friendly
No.
name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It certainly isn't invite, but it's not what we're about. You know,
No.
it's not. We're not interested in the corporate angle. I very much like keeping it where it is. I like the community we built. I like the vibe we built. I don't, like I said, I'm fiercely independent.
Yeah.
And that's how I want to be.
We love that. That's a great note to end on. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you very much.
On a crazy ride, get it in, get 'em up, raise up your lights, turn up the tune, turn up the mic.